Higher.
Sebastian Vale grunted as he eased the piece of wood up against the ceiling. His arms flexed under his rolled-up sleeves as he added pressure. Like this? Cassie Alberta blew a strand of hair away from her eyes as she struggled to hold the wood above her head. She raised up on her toes and tightened her muscles, hoping not to lose her balance.
Perfect,
Sebastian replied in his smooth accent. Do not be distracted, Cassie. She squeezed her eyes shut and focused on keeping the board in the air as she heard the drill whir to life. What had started as a simple patch in the ceiling had turned into a crown molding project, thanks to Sebastian's know-how and insistence. She wondered if he had ever done anything simple in his life, or if he always went for spectacular.
All right, nice and easy. Let go,
Sebastian murmured, as if speaking too loud might cause the entire ceiling to cave in. As Cassie slowly pulled her fingers away, they trembled, both from exertion and from nervousness. After purchasing a fixer-upper, a 2-story farmhouse in Little Leaf Creek, Sebastian, who owned a farm that backed up to her property, had practically taken over her repair plans. She didn't mind, but she still wasn't sure how to take him. He pushed his blonde hair back behind his ears and flashed her a wide smile.
Pretty, right?
So pretty. Cassie gazed into his warm brown eyes for a long moment, then blinked and looked up at the molding. I mean, I'm sure it will be, once we get it painted.
Did you look at those color swatches I brought over?
Sebastian pulled a dark blue bandana out of his back pocket and used it to wipe the sweat off of the back of his neck. He jumped down from the table they'd both been standing on in order to reach the ceiling, and offered his hand to her to help her down. Cassie eased her way off the table and pretended not to notice the way her mind spun as his fingers curled around hers. Actually, I haven't had a chance, yet. Cassie's heart skipped a beat as he glanced over at her. Was that disappointment she saw in his eyes? I'm still unpacking, and I've taken on some more shifts at Mirabelle's, so it's been a bit of a juggling act.
Right. No rush.
Sebastian tucked the bandana into his back pocket again, then swept his gaze along the ceiling.
I think you're really going to like it when it's done.
He placed his hands on his hips and leaned back some as he surveyed their work.
Cassie!
Someone called her name as the front door swung open.
Cassie, are you home?
Cassie recognized the voice this time. It belonged to Detective Oliver Graham. Oliver, what are you doing here? Cassie smiled.
Oh, I'm going door to door, just notifying the residents on this street about an incident.
Oliver's words slowed as his gaze settled on Sebastian.
Sebastian? Detective?
Sebastian pulled his baseball cap on over his blonde hair, then narrowed his eyes.
What incident? There was a burglary in Fremar, and the police there think the 2 suspects probably fled in this direction. Maybe headed into the woods and even up to the cliffs. Since your farm has direct access to the woods, and Cassie's backyard backs onto your farm, I figured this might be the area they would head for.
Oliver shifted his gaze back to Cassie. His sharp gray eyes met hers.
You'll want to make sure that you keep things locked up, at least for the next few days.
Are you sure they're around here? Cassie frowned at the thought. She'd moved from the big city to a small town and expected things to be a little slower, as things had been during the years she had grown up in an even smaller town. So far, that hadn't been the case. If anything, everything moved fast in Little Leaf Creek. Good news, bad news, and gossip traveled at the speed of light. At the first sign of a violation, the Historical Society snapped into action. The police were called for everything from bikes piled up outside of the corner store to ducks blocking the roads. Town hall meetings were called regularly to ensure that the community knew about the rules in place and could vote on new rules being introduced.